I started a new drawing a few days ago. This is a drawing from imagination. Well, mostly from imagination. The parts that were done from reference is basically the swan, the head of the swan, and the wing of the swan. That's because, swans is not something I see every day, so it's hard for me to recall their anatomy and how they look in space, especially if I'm after a very specific gesture. So let's start from the bottom. The floor is obviously imagination. It's pretty straightforward. So the floor looks like it's moving up like this. There's a curve. That's not intentional. Ideally, what I should have is the floor going like this all the way. So this means that this part would have to be flattened like this. And I know exactly how to do it. It's just when I was drawing this, I think I miscalculated a few things. I may correct it later. I may also just leave it like that because that's not a big deal. The legs of the swan are from imagination. And the figure, the dress, the chair, if we go up, everything else is from an imagination. So the light is falling from the top. I'm considering including a light bulb. You can see I started putting it here, but I think I'm going to keep the suggestion of the light coming from the top without showing. The light will be implied by the fact that the top section of the drawing is lighter than the bottom. Obviously, I have no tangible reference to copy the light from. I mean, one alternative is for me to look up some references online and just copy the light from there, but I don't want to do that because when I draw from imagination, I also use that as like a practice for designing the light effects on my own. I'm trying to imagine how the light falls onto the figure. So, naturally, if the light is coming from above, the top of the hat is going to be like maybe the brightest area in the drawing. The bottom of the hat is a lot darker, and then we have the shadow falling onto the body because of the hat. There must be some kind of a shadow underneath the hand because, again, the light coming from above is hitting the hand, and then the hand is above the hip area here and the dress, and so there has to be some kind of a shadow going there. I'm repeating that thought process as I go down the drawing. What I'm showing you here is just the beginning. I'm still designing the light effects here. This is not done by any means. So what I want to do next is I want to work on the dress. Right now, the shadows and the light effects and the values that are on this drawing suggest that the dress is in a color that is a lot lighter than black. I want to present the dress as if it were black. So this means I need to make the dress a lot darker, but I still have to keep in mind how the light falls onto something black. So even if something is black, when the light falls on it, we do have some kind of contrast, right? If I design the black dress with the light effect properly, I think it's going to look really nicely with the white swan. So I'm basically going after this high contrast between black and white. So I can approach this in two different ways. I can either continue using the ideas that I have in my mind to get the black dress on her, but there's going to be a lot of trial and error, I think. So I want to be done with this drawing soon. I don't want to spend more time that I have to. So what I decided to do is I decided to use this drawing as my reference for designing her dress. This drawing is one I did many years ago from a life model at the League. This drawing is one of my favorite drawings. And as you can see, she's wearing a black dress. I like the way the fabric feels on this drawing. There's a suggestion here that the dress is made out of silky material. And so I do want to copy that effect onto my drawing from imagination. And obviously this is a totally different figure, totally different composition. She's standing. So I'm not going to be copying the gestures here. I'm using this drawing as a reference to basically copy the value relationships from the dress, and I'm hoping to keep the suggestion of silk as well. It's going to work really nicely on this dress. So that's my goal for today. But before I go into this, I'm going to go have lunch because I try not to start a drawing or painting session when I'm hungry. I'm going to go eat and then I'll come back to do the drawing. I'm trying to decide how to approach this in a very safe way because I don't want to mess up this drawing. I really like the way where this drawing is going. So I think I'm going to have to make this quite dark. The light effect starts to disappear from the dress as soon as I do that. That's because I'm blending the light with the shadows. But I'm hoping to get that back. This also means that the shadow that falls on the dress will have to be a lot darker, like super dark. Now her legs are crossed, so there definitely has to be some kind of a lighter value on the top of the legs. The dress is on her leg, and their leg is round, obviously, right? So it goes like this, and then it falls. So this is probably going to be much darker than this. And then this is going to be lighter. And because the material is thin, there's going to be a sharper edge on the edge of the chair. So I definitely want to specify that here. Right now it's too sharp. There has to be info here that suggests that the dress rests on the chair and then it falls down. And if it falls down, it's going to be dark. So this dress is not a heavy dress. It's a light dress. Okay, so now the dress looks like it is on the darker side, but I want to make it even darker. I'm going to add the shadows back. Shit. I have this 9B pencil. Everything is falling, by the way, on the floor. Which is not good. What am I looking for? I'm looking for... Oh, here. You see. Alright. Now I want to just smooth everything out as much as possible. So now that I have this a lot darker, this also means I can work on her skin tone as well and make it a little bit darker. My whole point here is that the swan is the white thing in the drawing. Her skin tone is not white as the swan. Obviously, swans are white. Humans are. I mean, this is still a surrealist drawing, but I do want to separate the swan from the figure. So that's why I'm trying to make the figure a little bit darker. So now the dress, I think, definitely suggests black. If I were to color it, I would definitely make the dress black. Obviously the light reflections are not black. There are many different colors depending on the temperature of the light and other context. So I'm going to use this. This is 9XXB pencil. It's very dark. And so now I'm going to go in with this very dark pencil. I'm going to modify the shadows even more and work on the edges. So I lost a little bit of my original drawing, but I never worry about that when that happens because I'm pretty confident I can get it back. And now that I have the values where I want them to be, I can just I'm actually a little bit more confident of where things should be, given my original goal. And I can already tell that what I'm drawing here will suggest that the dress is wrinkled. But I don't think I'll be able to get the original design of the dress. The original design of the dress was a little bit different. I basically had a different design here, but that's fine. I'm not married to the design. I'm just going to go with the flow. And again, at some point when I get to this point in my drawings, especially, well, when I draw from imagination, I try to listen to the drawing and do what the drawing wants me to do. So what I'm doing right now, there are certain shapes, with little detail that basically drew themselves as I was depositing graphite onto the dress. And so what I'm doing right now is just bringing them out. I'm trying to now get the folds in. I want to see how the folds are going to work, because originally I didn't really have any folds. I had a few main folds according to the design I was going for, but that didn't work out. And because the hand is far away from this side, the edges of the shadow are not going to be sharp. They're going to be quite soft. I'm not sure if I will be able to get the effect of silk now that I'm looking at this. I probably won't be able to, but it's definitely worth a try. There's always a point where I'm like, oh my god, what is happening here? This is all wrong. That's not what I expected at all. Or that's not what I intended to do at all. That's not how I imagined it. But I'm getting to this nice place right now. But I do want it to be quite smooth, because silk, I'm still going for the feeling of silk. I want to see if I can pull that off just by looking at this drawing. Now, I definitely have to fix the top of the hat, because now it's too bright and I feel like I don't want it to be white. I want it to suggest a different color. So the highlights on this dress are quite sharp. And the folds are pretty sharp as well. And that kind of makes sense because silk is... So now that the dress is black, I no longer liked the fact that under the hat, there was the area under the hat was very dark. I want to make the values under the hat a lot lighter. But at this point, I don't want to use an eraser because, I don't know, I feel like it's too late. I'm using tape to get some of the graphite off of the paper. And the reason I'm able to do that is because when I deposit graphite, I do it very gently. But, if you try this at home, you may destroy your drawing, so I don't recommend that you do this. Never do what I do because you'll be in trouble. And I do have to be careful because there is a risk of removing or damaging the actual paper, so I definitely don't want to deal with that. Okay, I didn't record that part because I started to get frustrated, but I basically erased the graphite off of her chest and the face, because when I removed graphite from underneath the hat, things were just looking really bad. So I had to take a step back. When I removed all the graphite from the face and from the chest, I used my brush to gently give it the value that I was looking for. And I think right now the value that's here is what I think it should be, at least for now. So now I'm going to proceed to adjusting the value of the hat. Definitely looks like me, which is surprising because I don't even have my picture in front of me. That would be a cool experiment, trying to do a self-portrait without a reference. I've done a lot of self-portraits with photo reference of myself, but never without. So that would be actually a cool thing to do. So here I feel like this leg should be darker because the leg is coming down, it hits the top of the leg, and then the leg is round, so it goes like this. And I think I'm just going to speed up the rest of the drawing because I basically described what I wanted to accomplish here, so I'll just let you enjoy the rest of the drawing through a speed version of it. Okay, see you later. Alright, so it's been a couple of hours and I like how the drawing is going. I'm pretty much done with the dress, but I don't like the swan's feet. I decided to put shoes on the swan's feet. Yeah, that's my plan for the next few minutes, I guess. Check these out. I wish I had come up with that earlier, because I think I would have been able to maybe get a better gesture out of the whole thing, but I still like the gesture. It looks really funny. I like it. So I'm glad I was able to get in that logo, the All-Star logo. Obviously it doesn't have a lot of detail, but it's just a suggestion. This is like a cute, funny twist in the whole drawing. So I'm almost done. I think the only thing I have to do is render the swan a little bit better, but this is how the drawing looks. It's really funny.